Hello, welcome to this update for the U.S. and Canada. Merry Christmas, and let's see how the weather will be like on this Christmas Eve and the rest of December. So let's see here. Just the connection's kind of slow today, so be patient with me. But now we have the system, the northwest there. A lot of rain and snows parts of the northwest, and even a storm or two there. And let's see here. We do have some fog advisories this morning in parts of south central Florida, some air quality alerts for the north, parts of the north. Let's just verify. Yeah, this dense fog advisory too. So air quality is parts of Southern California and Arizona, and dense fog parts of the northern plains. We have some winter storm warnings near like Maine and northern Vermont, and some winter weather advisories to some parts of the mid-Atlantic too, and the Appalachians. So let's see, there are some winter storm watches in parts of Washington and Oregon, and Northern California, and also some winter weather advisories near Nevada, northeastern California, and some winter storm warnings, some parts of the Sierra Nevada. We do have some wind advisories and wind warnings near parts of Nevada and Southern California, and some high wind watches near Washington and Oregon, and also Northern California, and some flood watches there in California. So let's see here. In terms of severe weather, we do have this marginal risk today in Texas and eastern Texas. So let's see, 5% wind in those areas. So be careful, some storms, gusty winds, hail does show a 5% as well, like southeastern central Texas. And we also have a small, yesterday they had a small tornado threat, but they removed it. So let's see. Isolated to widely scattered strong to severe thunderstorms capable of large hail damaging gusts are possible this afternoon into overnight. So be careful there. Those storms, they removed the tornado threat, but now it's still kind of early in the day. They might have more updates later. So we'll leave the link in the description for this. Feel free to check for updates, but this may like some hail and some wind there, nothing that crazy. And here let's see what the HUR has. So there is some storms like northern Texas and Oklahoma, so this goes there throughout today. So this goes, and later this afternoon you will see those storms in southeastern Texas, some northwestern Louisiana too. This already like this evening or something. This goes, the line of storms continue, and overnight into tomorrow morning still shows those stronger storms in southeastern Texas there. So be careful those areas, and tomorrow does show storm or two in Louisiana, and yeah, so be aware. And even like into 3Z Thursday shows a snow or two in New Mexico, so be aware. Now for like, let's just see if there's something else interesting, if it loads here, because it's very slow. So here, let's wait a second for most of it. Here, so this is interesting. Choose the lightning flash density for today. So those red areas like a lot of lightning. So it does show those storms there like now into the early afternoon. This goes, and this afternoon shows more throughout eastern, southeastern Texas, and later into tonight, especially this evening, shows a higher lightning flash density there, and those storms continue throughout tonight there. So be aware in those areas, and also like here for the Cape and everything. Let's see if there's something important. So like mixed layer, if it loads here, because it's kind of slow. Here. Good. So now there's very few Cape this event, but there is some like this afternoon or like 19C, like early to late this afternoon, does show a little bit higher there, close to like 2,000, like 1,000 to 2,000 joules per kilogram. Some parts of southeastern Texas, and even shows more like this evening shows more areas of 2,000 joules per kilogram. Then it goes there, diminishes overnight a little bit, but still some cape on the coast there. So there is a little bit of instability. And here for day 2, so still shows a storm or two scattered near the south, the Keys, like northern Texas, the northwest, but nothing crazy. For tomorrow, a relatively calm Christmas, but for the 26th, there's already a slight risk into Texas and Louisiana, and a marginal risk like Texas, Oklahoma, into Arkansas and Louisiana. So probabilistic is 5 and 15%. So let's see. Severe thunderstorms will be possible Thursday across central East Texas into far western Louisiana, possibly Arkansas, Texas, southeastern Oklahoma. So be aware for Thursday, those areas. And day 4 through 8, still nothing there. In fire, no critical as of now. So be aware. We do have those massive scale discussions for like precipitation in California, some heavy rain danger there. So be careful and check this link here in the description to see more. So today does show some scattered snow in the northeast and New England, some mixed precipitation. Does show some probability of freezing rain through like West Virginia, Pennsylvania, especially like near New Jersey and Maryland, Northern Virginia. Does show some spots of heavy snow in Oregon, in California, and even to northern Vermont there. Day 2 for Christmas does show still in Washington, Oregon, some spots of heavier snow and more mixed precipitation throughout the west there, some storms in the south. And it shows us spot or two of snow there in the Great Lakes. And then day 3 does show the severe thunderstorms, Texas, and a lot of dots of heavy snow near Oregon, Idaho, Washington, and those areas there. So be aware in Wyoming, Montana, those areas. But just like mixed precipitation and the storms in the south. So now excessive rainfall is a marginal, some parts of central California near the Sierra Nevada, and a marginal in Texas and Oklahoma, and all the way to Missouri to near Arkansas and Louisiana. So be aware. Day 2 still Washington, Oregon, a marginal, and northernmost California. So be careful, some heavy rain and flash flood in danger. For Thursday, that's severe weather, shows a marginal from Texas to Missouri, and another in California and Oregon and Washington. So be aware there. Day 4 still shows a marginal across the northwest, so still be careful there. And there's a slight risk now for day 5. This is Saturday to Sunday, December 28th, Northern California and Oregon, and a marginal. So be aware, just a bunch of systems there with heavy rain. Be careful. And shows now for today, Tuesday to Wednesday, the rainfall, the storms in Texas. We have close to 2 inches or even 2.5 inches, some spots there, but most like 1 inch to like 0.1 to 1.5 inches. And it does show some on the east coast and the northeast. And that rain in the northwest, heavier some parts of California, but also in other parts there, the west. Day 2 shows heavier in Washington, Oregon, and Northern California there. So be aware, especially in Washington, those areas close to 3 inches or something, or even more. And the storms in the mid-south still shows some rain there and some showers in Florida. Day 3 shows the severe weather there, as more like 2 inches near northern Louisiana and some more in Arkansas and Texas. And the storms there, and still in Washington and Oregon there, especially in California. Day 3. So for Thursday to Friday, day 4, Friday to Saturday, shows more like in the mid-south, in the Midwest, some rain, especially in Florida, and shows more there like from California to Washington still, and in Idaho and some other areas, more rain. Day 5 shows heavier between Oregon and California, that's with that slight risk, and more throughout Northern California to Washington. So be careful there, especially some flash flooding. It shows more throughout the southeast, mid-south still on day 5. For the 29th to the 30th shows more across the east, some fronts, and especially Pennsylvania, some more rain. It shows more on the northwest still. Day 7 still shows like more on the northeast and some the central U.S. and the west. So day 1 through 7, that does show some big accumulations there. That yellow close to 15 inches, 10 to 15 inches in a spot or two. The 7-day total, and more the northwest, and the heavier storms in the south. Those areas there. So be careful. And does show like the snow probabilities through today, Tuesday, some in Maine and into Canada. It shows more there like in California, the mountains, some higher probabilities that the Sierra Nevada, more throughout like northern Washington and Oregon, some parts of Nevada and Idaho, and more. So be aware. Day 2 shows heavy in Washington and some in Oregon, Northern California, and a lot into southwestern Canada. And day 3 shows like more into Washington and Oregon, especially central Idaho showing some more probabilities, and some parts of Northern California, even to Montana, like northern central Utah. Day 4 shows some more northwestern Wyoming and central northern Utah and Colorado. That does show some like northern Washington, heavier in Idaho, and also still in Oregon, some in California. Day 5 shows more throughout the northwest. Day 6 still shows some heavier in the northwest, a dot or two on the northeast, and what's happening? Sorry. So, and what happening again? Day 7 shows some probability scattered there throughout the northwest, central. So be aware. Now, hazards does show still like day 3 through 7. Some heavy rain possible in the south, the high winds and heavy precipitation near the Rockies and northwest. And day 8 through 14 does show like, let's see, shows more near here. Day 8 through 14 show more in the northeast, some risks of heavy snow and like precipitation too. So yeah, be aware. And now let's see if there's something here for like winter storms severity index, if I click on the right place, because yeah, today is kind of messy. So let's see. So now mainly across the west in the mountains of California shows some major impacts from the snow amount, the high elevations there in Washington and those areas, the day 1 through 3. I think or 2 in Idaho and some other parts of the Rockies, and Maine there, some snow the northeast. So be aware those areas. And now let's see if this works here to find something. It doesn't, so I'll just open it again later. So the temperatures now still cold the northeast and like the northern Midwest and the plains, and some 30s there, even the maximum temperatures, and still cold in the Rockies, the high elevation, some 70s and close to 80s in southern Texas, and some 70s in Florida and southern Arizona too, and southern California. Now the minimum temperatures, like from tonight to tomorrow, basically during Christmas, shows still some lower temperatures in the northeast, so like 13, 15. Those darker purples, northern New York, close to like 10 or 9, even 5 Fahrenheit. Shows some 30s all the way down to Alabama, some 20s, like the plains in the north, some scared 30s and 20s throughout the Rockies. The higher Rockies, some like teens and single digits in the Sierra Nevada in the high elevations there, and some 20s and 30s in the other high elevations there, California. So be aware, some 30s all the way down to Texas. Now day 2 for Wednesday does show still colder in the Rockies, the maximum temperatures in the north and the northeast, and warmer in the south there. And now from Wednesday night to Thursday, still very cold in the northeast, so like 12, 11 Fahrenheit, but those very dark purples like 4, 3 Fahrenheit or something. So be careful in those areas. And some 30s as well, all the way down to South Carolina, and very cold in the Rockies, some 20s and teens, especially in the high elevations. So be aware there, and so like some 20s and teens near the Cascades, the Sierra Nevada too, and the northern plains. So be aware. Now for Thursday during the day, the shows some 70s in the south still, and even 280 southwestern Florida and southern Texas, and some 20s the northeast and the Rockies still, and the Sierra Nevada, and colder in North Dakota too. And now the 27th until Friday morning, so from Thursday night to Friday morning, the shows still in the northeast, some teens and single digits in New England, so be aware, some 20s down to South Carolina, especially North Carolina. It shows more like 20s and teens throughout the Rockies. Those purple areas go to like 10 Fahrenheit or something. So be aware, some 20s the northern plains as well, and some are parts of the west. Now day 4, maximum temperature does show still cold in the high elevations during the day, and in the northeast some 30s and high 20s. And then Friday night, Saturday does show still some 20s and teens, the northeast, especially some 10, 9 Fahrenheit in northern Maine. So like 30s down to Virginia, and shows like across the west, 30s all the way down to southern New Mexico, some 20s too, especially the high elevations, and some teens there. So be aware. Day 5 does show still colder in the Rockies throughout the day, and northern North Dakota and Minnesota, some 30s the northeast still, but above average in the south, even to 80 in Florida and southern Texas, some 60s and 70s throughout the south. Now from Saturday night to Sunday, still some 60s, 70s southern Florida, but the show northeast some 20s and teens, and many 20s and 30s throughout the plains and the Rockies in the west, and some teens in the mountains or even lower, the very high elevations. Now Sunday during the days, still hot in the south, shows especially Texas and Florida, and mild further north. Those shows still cold in the mountains, some 20s there, and the northern plains and the northeast some 30s. So be aware. Now Monday morning does show some 20s, 30s the northeast, and some 20s and teens, especially in the north, some teens, and some 20s and teens throughout the Rockies, and cold in the very high elevations of Idaho and Wyoming, in Colorado to northern Utah. So be aware. Now next Monday during the day does show still some 80s southern Texas, some 60s and 70s the south, and colder across the northwest and the north. So be careful there. The 24-hour max wind gusts until like tomorrow 8 a.m. does show some higher gusts, close to 50, 60 mile per hour gusts, even higher in some parts of eastern California, and some mountains in southern California, and shows more a little bit gusty winds near like Montana, Wyoming, Nevada, and in the ocean there, the northeast. So now 48 hours snowfall from the National Weather Service does show more snow across the west next 48 hours, especially from like Washington to California. So like those areas go to 12 to 20 inches, the higher spots of California, some 12 to 16 inches, especially in Washington, close to 25 inches or more, the very high peaks, and so like generally some 10 to 20 inches in some parts of Oregon as well. Shows more like 2 to 7 inches in some parts of Idaho, and also eastern Oregon, some 10 inches in a spot or two, and a little bit in Utah and Colorado, northern New Mexico. It does show in Maine as well some snow, so be aware. And here now let's take a look at some models for the wind and stuff. So first, like mile per hour here. So there's this system now, shows a little bit higher gusts in some parts of California there, and does show like some 46 mile per gust in Nevada in California, and even near the coast on 37. The European, this coast there shows gusty wind 2 in northern Montana Wednesday, but mainly like in New Mexico and Arizona shows in the ocean there, and especially in the ocean in the west coast shows those higher gusts. So Wednesday there into Thursday, so especially like Wednesday night to Thursday, some higher gusts in Oregon and California. Those show close to like 66 mile per gust into 67. So be careful along the coast, and also northern Washington, those areas, the European model, and Montana there. So yeah, be careful. And down to like New Mexico, a finger or two. Thursday, this coast does show those higher winds later Thursday morning in Oregon, California, and some spots there near the coast, like to 64 mile per gust, even 66. So be careful. Washington too, and so like Thursday still a little bit gusty in the northwest, but mainly like northern Montana and southeastern central Wyoming, and then Thursday into Friday shows this bigger system Friday there with a lot of high gusts Friday. So this goes, but it's still like 3 a.m. So it's basically Thursday night still. So still show like Thursday night those higher gusts in Oregon, in California especially. I think go to like New Mexico, Arkansas, and Wyoming. Then this goes and show like Friday morning some very high gusts near especially Oregon, Washington. Does show right on the immediate coast some 70 mile per gust, the European model in California, some high gusts as well. So be careful those areas and stay safe, like from the rough surf, falling trees and everything. Does show there like Montana, Wyoming, a tiny bit higher into northern Colorado too, right, like right there. And yeah, so this goes Friday, still some higher gusts throughout the northwest and the mountains on Friday, and central Utah as well, in Nevada, southern Idaho, and yeah, those areas. So Friday into Saturday into New Mexico, Colorado, some higher gusts, especially there in Colorado. Saturday into Sunday, this goes still some higher gusts in Wyoming and Colorado, quite breezy on the east coast as well. On the 29th, the 30th, does show a very crazy system throughout the Rockies and the plains. This goes, and maybe more on the east later. But this is the European and just one forecast. This still change, but the GFS has also those winds there on Thursday in Oregon, Washington, California, and Friday the other system there, and even has some disturbed across the mid-south, those storms. So be careful there. Now for the winds in Canada. So already shows Tuesday today those high gusts in British Columbia, those areas, some 86 km per gust, 102 the European model. So be aware that like in Alberta, British Columbia, this goes shows northern Quebec today, some higher gusts too. So here, so Tuesday to Wednesday still in Alberta, but the does show right in the immediate coast of Vancouver Island, like 122 km per gust. Late Wednesday shows more than 100 some parts of the coast. So be careful throughout most of western British Columbia on the coast, and southern Alaska close to like 50-60 mile per gust, southern Alaska. So this goes there, and shows in Alberta still finger two. So Wednesday into Thursday shows more there in Alaska, some 40 to 50 mile per gust. Then Friday shows like Saturday another small system there, some more gusts in Vancouver Island, some part of British Columbia. but nothing that crazy. And then later, this goes and shows more systems like December 31st in British Columbia, more winds in Alberta, like January 1st, and those areas. So be aware, but it still might change. There's the GFS as well. Does show like Wednesday a little bit breezy central Canada and the west. This goes Thursday shows southernmost British Columbia, some higher gusts, and like central western Quebec and Ontario. Then into Friday has like some stuff there, and the GFS has into like the 29th in Nunavut and Northwestern Territories, a disturbance. And Sunday shows more in Ontario and Quebec, a little bit higher gusts. Monday, and yeah, and it even has on December, no, January 1st, some more like near the Great Lakes and Atlantic Canada, but nothing that crazy. So be careful, those systems there now, but my opinion, the worst is like right now, today until Wednesday. So be careful, British Columbia and those areas there. So stay safe now for snow, for like here. First 10 inches here. So it does show like today until Thursday, that's snow in the northwest, the European model, so some 15 inches, 18 inches, 9 inches, and shows the Sierra Nevada too, some 9 and 8 inches, and does show in Utah and those areas some 2-3 inches. In Idaho, shows more there. Most of Idaho, western Montana, Wyoming shows some, Colorado, in those areas, and does show like New York, like 0.3, but very low, and like northern Maine, some 2 inches, 1 inch. So yeah, and like northernmost Arizona and Colorado. So these next 2 days, now next 5 days, does increase there in the northwest, show like some 17 inches, some parts of the Sierra Nevada. Northern California shows even 30 inches, but Washington and Oregon show like 55 inches, the European model, 54, 48, 36 inches. In Washington, so like some 40, 51 inches, more for like 10 inches, northern Washington. Some spots there like shows all the other 50 inches. So be careful that this forecast might change too, but be aware. In Idaho, some 35 inches, 16 inches, and more there through western Wyoming especially, shows in central Utah some 15, 9 inches, 16 inches, to like 5 inches, and central Colorado, the Rockies, some snow as well, northern New Mexico, southwestern and western Montana. Be aware, in the northwestern Montana especially, and then there does show some snow in Minnesota, probably next weekend there. So some like some 2 inches, 3 inches. It's not loading right now, but like 6 inches, yeah. And in the northeast, didn't change much. And now the GFS does have across the west the heavier snow in some areas, like the European. So be aware, the west and the Rockies, and the does show a finger or two there in the north as well. And the icon does have as well like most of the west, especially in the mountains, the high elevations there. So be aware, and a finger or two in the north. So be careful now for like centimeters. Does show in British Columbia, those areas like all the way to 109, 141 the next 5 days, 107. Does show central Vancouver Island, it's like 127 centimeters. Shows more there. This until Sunday, just until Friday shows less, but already shows some until Friday. Until Thursday shows a little bit less, and just the next 24 hours, like 19 hours, already shows more snow. So be careful with this heavier snow now today. And this goes in eastern British Columbia, far western Alberta shows some snow as well. And like central northern Alberta, some lighter snow showers, especially in Alaska and Yukon, like 145 centimeters. That's close to like 160 inches, and does show there like more, some 8 centimeters, 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters. If some more Nunavut shows more there in Manitoba in some areas, diving down from Nunavut into Manitoba next weekend, and some in Western Ontario too. So beware. Does show that snow in New Brunswick, some 25 centimeters, Nova Scotia, some 6 centimeters, and does show like in the Avalon Peninsula, some areas, some snow too. And just until Friday, already shows that, because that's like happening today in Nova Scotia, those areas. And next 5 days, does show snow in northern Quebec and Labrador, and those areas too. So be aware. The GFS has also some snow there, some 20 centimeters, has more like central Quebec as well, and Western Ontario, Manitoba, and does have central and northern Saskatchewan next 5 days, and the heaviest snow in British Columbia and those areas. So be aware. A finger to northern Yukon, northwestern territories, and yeah, be aware. Now back to inches. Let's just see here like southern Alaska, some 23 inches in the mountains, some 24, some 26 inches. In Anchorage, some 2 inches. But that area I told you before is like 76 inches or something. So be aware. Most of southern Alaska, some 25, 22, 4 inches. So be aware there. The Aleutian Islands, some snow as well. It does show western Alaska some snow, or maybe you would call this eastern Alaska, but this is western Alaska because the international day line is in the ocean. So be aware. In northern Alaska there, some snow as well. Yeah, so be aware, but nothing that crazy. And now for like some temperatures across Canada. So still very cold there in the north, in the Arctic of course, very, very cold. But down south, does show still cold, some minus 12, some minus 10. In Quebec, some minus 20 to minus 25, minus 24. Labrador in Quebec, and still like in the central areas there's some minus 11, some minus 10. Cold across the west, except some spots in British Columbia, but like that's kind of cold too. So be aware. Northwestern territories and Yukon, some minus 25. So now it's Tuesday. This goes like tomorrow morning does show like some minus 19. Quebec, some minus 21. Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, cold as well. Newfoundland and in Ontario there, some minus 4, some 1 degree, minus 6. Northern Nunavut, very cold. Wednesday to Thursday, this goes there, still cold across Quebec, some areas. A little bit less in Ontario, but still across like the west in Alberta, British Columbia, and the north there, very cold. And does show some more Arctic air on the 30th across northern Yukon and the northwestern territories. And yeah, so be aware. And the European gets like extremely cold, like minus 44 January 1st. So yeah, we'll have to watch that. And there's like colder in those areas too. And by January 1st, a little bit less in Quebec and Ontario, but still cold. And now for like that, just check that in Fahrenheit. Does show here in Alaska like minus 48 Fahrenheit, minus 15, so minus 32, so that's January 1st. But right now on the 24th, so minus 19 to minus 28, 14, 10, 3 Fahrenheit. So yeah, cold there too, and shows that cold air later. So be aware in those areas. That's just the temperature. If it's like some minus 11, might feel like minus 15, minus 20 or something. Especially further north, there like minus 33, might feel like minus 40. So be careful to those wind chills and hypothermia, frostbite, and also just frost and everything. So stay safe there and be careful. Let's just see this model very quick. So this is the GFS. Does show like Wednesday those storms in the south, the snow across the west, especially Thursday. It does show that bigger severe weather Thursday there. Into Friday, still more snow on the west coast and more systems later and everything. This like Sunday, Saturday to Sunday, the GFS is more stuff, especially in like Oregon, California, and the front across the east there. And does have some snow crisscrossing the Midwest and the plains like the 31st and into Canada there. And it has even some more snow like into January 3rd, some central areas and more crazy stuff later. But yeah, be aware, stay safe those areas.